other folks jump on, we'll add them in as they come and they can catch up. Feel free to add questions through the Q&A function or save questions for some chat afterwards. We can open everybody up and I can answer all those questions. But if you put them in along the way, my colleague will perhaps answer some of them or continue to push information to me, some of which I may cover in this short slide presentation. Welcome to the Master Liberal Arts Information Session. I'm Chris Pastore. I'm the Director of the Master Liberal Arts Program and an Associate Director in our Division of Liberal Professional Studies, which is in the School of Arts and Sciences at Penn. Let me give you a few things to remember about the MLA. The Master Liberal Arts is a 9-course unit program. Penn uses course units. Every regular 4-credit course equivalent is 1 course unit. So you basically need to take 9 course units, which we usually consider consists of 8 graduate level courses and a final capstone is your 9th course unit. There's the occasional course that has a lab or another thing that's at 1.5 CUs or a half CU, but most courses are 1 course unit. It's an interdisciplinary master's degree. You can actually pursue full-time or part-time on campus and online. We have night and evening classes. We have day classes. So there's a range of ways that you can pursue this program. In the MLA, you develop your own special, unique, individualized course of study within the arts and sciences, and you create a theme or concentration that matches your interests and try and find graduate courses that help you explore that theme. And there's no set array of departments or disciplines that you're limited to within the School of Arts and Sciences. After learning a lot of different approaches to exploring your concentration, you then take a chance to use all those disciplinary methods you explored and you figure out a way how to fold them all together into a final written MLA capstone project that you complete with the support of 2 faculty readers. Now, why would you do an MLA degree, right? A lot of people ask that. One reason might be just personal or career orientation. It could really be a wonderful thing to offer some intellectual engagement and enrichment, but also help you grow those power skills, those transferable skills that are really valuable in a professional career. You may use it for professional development or career transition. We've had folks that have moved diagonally or laterally from one industry to the other. We've had folks refocus their interest into a more academic pursuits and a lot of stuff of that sort. And some people really do it to think about what they're going to do in their next act in life. Say they've been working for 20 years and want to shift gears. It's also a great opportunity to do something in a focused course of study rather than just taking the occasional class, reading on your own, because doing it in the rigorous environment of an Ivy League institution with faculty and fellow students at the graduate level lets you really dig into things in a much different way. It's a great opportunity to network with faculty and peers in this sort of part-time, full-time model. And it's also really flexible. Most grad programs, particularly those at a high-powered institution like Penn, are full-time. They're cohort-based. There are limited opportunities for you to work and pursue other aspects of your life at the same time. So we're kind of a great, interesting, flexible part-time option for a lot of students. It also is another great way to get a professional credential on your resume for that next step, wherever you're trying to go. It's also great because if you do an MLA at Penn, you have the resources of a powerful research institution at your fingertips. We're America's first university. We have over 20 libraries. We have unparalleled access to materials and academic support and all kinds of opportunities that you can pursue to carry out your research here on campus. Penn's 12 schools and our excellent faculty connect teaching and research. You can really take what you do in the classroom sort of out on the road and connect it to where you're going to be in your professional realm. Oops. The MLA also allows you to sort of challenge yourself and explore the liberal arts. So you can do it because of the breadth of the School of Arts and Sciences, SAS, our home school, the original school at the University of Pennsylvania, has 26 academic departments, 22 interdisciplinary programs, and those all offer a wide range of graduate level classes across the liberal arts. Our outstanding teachers and the faculty have tremendous expertise that help you dive deeply into areas that really appeal to you and make you think in new ways about ideas and topics that fascinate you. You can create your own individualized concentration, but also pursue a range of certificates that help you build your own unique focus, but also can guide your course selection and make this a really mindful approach to effectively create your own major program at the graduate level. And then at the end, when you write that final capstone, you get to apply all those strategies you developed in each course and build a program, independent piece of research that helps you finish that program, kind of building your own better mousetrap. And this can be both a research paper or a creative capstone. We have a lot of folks that do creative writing. We did a snapshot of some concentrations, a couple of spring terms back. And if you look at these, you'll see that there's a huge range of things that people have done in the Master of Liberal Art, ranging from environmental studies to international relations to the philosophy of science and mathematics, organizational behavior, African-American visual arts, and democratizing the economy. Really fun and interesting things you couldn't do in a one-size-fits-all master's program, an MA or an MS in education or something. So the MLA lets you really do your own thing. And we just try to help you manage the logistics and give you good academic advisement to help you make your own unique individualized Master of Liberal Arts concentration come together. I'll tell you a little bit about a couple of capstone projects to get the sense of how you finish up what you do after you create your own concentration. An advisee of mine, Brad Richards, did a really great capstone called Culture for Sale, Thomas Aiken's The Gross Clinic. Brad took a bunch of classes in a concentration that he called Art, Culture, and Society. They included public performance art, a course on Medusa and the Power of Vision, a course on cultural heritage and conflict, and another called Fake. And he used all this information to develop a paper that had him examine the sale of Thomas Aiken's painting The Gross Clinic from Thomas Jefferson University back in the around in the 2010s. It was ultimately purchased by the Philadelphia Museum of Art and the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts as a joint purchase, and it rotates between the collections. Originally, though, it was going to be sold by Thomas Jefferson University and deaccessioned as a way, because they could generate $90 million to fund a new research building for their medical school. This raised a hue and cry. Philadelphia pushed back and decided that they wanted to try and keep this here because it was going to go to the Oklahoma Crystal Bridges Museum that one of the Walmart heiresses was building. So they had an opportunity to match the price of the offer, and the PMA and PAFA raised a lot of money from local donors and city and state governments to keep this core piece of our cultural heritage here at home. So Brad explored themes on paintings as commodities, the global marketplace, heritage and regional identity, and what that means for like a region or a city, that have a parochial association with something like Aiken's, and history of medicine. And then also what artistic style, the work of Aiken's, development of an interest in anatomy and the human form, and also really vested interest in the process of studying anatomy at the medical level, and tied all these things up into a really fun paper that was in part informed by art history, in part informed by his interest in cultural heritage, in part informed by his study of visual culture and society, and also informed a little bit by his interest in business and the marketplace. So it was really a great paper when it was all pulled together. Dana Sanchor, who finished this past year, did a great capstone called Missing on the Main Line, a personal exploration on the impact of true crime podcasts. And actually, if you go on our MLA website and you look at the curriculum pages and look at the capstone pages, you can see the video of Dana's presentation at our virtual capstone forum from last month. And she tells you a lot about how she pulled this all together. Her concentration was really on writing and culture. She took courses on children's literature, cultural diversity, writing for social media, a great course on fashioning gender, about the history of gender in fashion design, and a course on body image about etiology and pathology. So she looked at like context and the craft of writing, and then pulled these things together to dig into this new part of the media world, the podcast, but particularly with a more narrow focus on true crime podcasts, because she got really fascinated by them. So she started looking at the history of the true crime podcast, what audiences they largely attracted, how podcasts were developed, and how the writers and the producers and the deliverer, the people who deliver these podcasts, engage with their audience, but also had some impact on things that happen, particularly in local crime, for unsolved murders and things of that sort. Dana's in the process of developing her own podcast, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes out when it finally gets done. It was a really neat paper that allowed her to do something that was both related to her career in the sense that she's interested in writing and communication as a professional, but that also let her tap into and look at something outside of her daily work life and get more involved in something that was intriguing to her, and that's the podcast itself. Laura Grieco, a few years back, did a capstone called Eating the Family Tree, a genealogical investigation. And Laura did a concentration in culture, communication, and society. And she balanced things between courses she thought of as being really work-related and then sort of life, personal, and intellectually enriching courses. And she bounced back and forth for sort of each column, if you will, in her capstone, in her program, and then figured out what capstone she would want to do that was the most satisfying. And she had one that was more work-related and one that was more sort of a fun exploration of an issue that she felt talked a lot about society and culture and family. And this was an exercise in figuring out how to tell the story of her family through experience they shared around the meals that the family ate based on all of her grandmother's recipes. And that's why she called it the Eating the Family Tree. And this was a paper that wasn't going to be like a white paper for her work, for her professional life, but it was a paper she was never going to write otherwise. So it was fun to sort of let her hair down and go all out and try and do this sort of interesting hybrid of both a research anthropological paper that's sort of in a way an ethnography, but at the same time also a really creative piece that was a lot of fun. She took courses on writing and remembering, a memoir workshop, a course on food and film, another on urban ethnography, and a course on urban education, neighborhood displacement, and community power. So she did a really interesting combo that helped her explore exactly how people communicate and why. And then she had fun putting that into practice with this kind of fun family memoir, if you will, rooted in the things they eat and how they come together as a family. Some of the cool courses we offer on our evening roster, and normally there's anywhere between 14 and 18 evening courses in fall and spring. We can probably offer another 14 courses in the various summer sessions. And this is good for the part-time students who can't come to classes during the day. But as I said, the liberal arts graduate course offerings across the School of Arts and Sciences number in the hundreds of classes, all times of day. So if you have a flexible work schedule, that gives you open and access to all kinds of great classes. Probably half of all the courses taken by MLA students are not on our roster. They're across the school. But you're also allowed up to 2 of your 9 course units to be from outside the School of Arts and Sciences at some of our professional schools like Wharton, the Annenberg School of Communication. There are folks that take public health courses and things from the med school as well. This fall, this spring, we're going to have a course taught by Karin Detlefsen, a new course on world philosophies as one of our MLA Pro seminars. That should be really fun because it's going to allow somebody who's always been curious about different philosophies and approaches to understanding the world in different societies. Even if you never did philosophy as an undergrad, you could sink your teeth into this and explore some really interesting ideas that impact how we live. Jackie Sadashige is offering that Fashioning Gender course I mentioned earlier, which is really cool. It really makes you think hard about what Coco Chanel was doing and how she impacted and changed how we understand gender roles. And Monica Calkins is doing an MLA Pro seminar on psychopathology and the media, which should be really interesting as well, where you can really think hard about how we use and consume media and create media and what that means for us culturally. After the MLA, people do all kinds of stuff. We've had folks move on and pursue PhDs and now teach at universities such as Villanova, which is right around the corner. We have other students that have gone on to PhD, JD, and MBA programs, both here at Penn, locally at schools like Temple University, and then other places like UC Santa Barbara, Cambridge, Yale, and a range of institutions. Others have advanced their careers because they gained a lot of knowledge, but also a lot of confidence from pursuing and completing the MLA, really learning a lot of time management skills and project management skills to get from start to finish while they're juggling work and life. And a lot of alums have told us that the MLA experience really reinforced a commitment to lifelong learning and personal growth. And the program to a couple folks, one of my alums recently told me he sort of thought the program allowed him to figure out what a better version of him might look like and make himself into that person. That really changed the way he approached everything, including what he does as a professional. So I thought that was really kind of rewarding to think about all the great personal growth that a lot of students attain. To get into the MLA, we require online application that consists of a range of essays that tell us about what you want to study and how you want to attack your program. It's really an idea map maybe, but it's not a contract. People do change their minds on their concentration once they're in classes. We ask for 2 letters of reference. Academic references are great, but we also take professional letters, a current resume, transcripts from all the post-secondary institutions you attended, and that usually includes study abroad, just taking a couple courses in a certificate program, your BA, and what have you. And then the application fee. The deadlines, it's November 1st for spring 2021, so you still have 2 weeks to get in for spring. April 1st for summer 2021, and then July 1st for fall 2021. We do rolling app review though, so as soon as your app's complete, it'll come to me, I'll preview it, we'll schedule a phone interview or Skype, we'll talk, think about how this program might fit your needs, and then move it through committee. And that usually happens, turnaround time from completed application coming to me, as long as we schedule an interview in a timely fashion, to final review is probably 3 weeks to a month at the most. You can check our website for further details, www.sas.upenn.edu/LPS, and go to the MLA pages for other questions you have. At present, the tuition and fees for this year have stayed flat versus last year at $53.70 per course unit. We charge per course. So if you do a full-time load of 3 courses, you pay for 3 course units. There's no full-time tuition. If you take 1 course a term, you pay that course unit rate, and then you just add it up and get to 9 course units, and that's about what the cost of the degree is for tuition and fees. There is financial aid available for U.S. citizens in the form of loans that students, if you're taking 2 course units or more in a term, you can apply and be eligible for these loans. Full-time is 3 or 4. That's required for international students. A student who starts who's not international full-time, but then decides to slow down and do part-time because they get a cool job opportunity, we allow people to flex and move back and forth. We're not a sort of, as I said, a one-size-fits-all. And as I said, full-time tuition is set per course. It's not calculated by the term. So that's really the overarching view of the MLA, sort of from the 5,000-foot view. I'm happy to field any questions you have. So I'm going to stop this share. And if anybody has questions that you want to push to me through the Q&A, we can work on that. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to work through in order. The first question came in from Francisco, interested in the Master of Liberal Arts and want to know if you could complete it 100% online or hybrid. We have had a couple students do this entirely online. The wrinkle is that Penn, although this fall is all online, summer was all online, and spring moved to remote learning in March, so there were a lot of online courses. That may not continue. This is a response to the public health issue with the pandemic. We usually offer 3 or 4 online courses a term on the MLA roster, right? So 25% of our roster maybe. Other programs at the grad level also offer online courses. And again, as an MLA student, you can take courses across the School of Arts and Sciences and in a couple of other schools. So I've had students do it, but what it does mean is sometimes you're limited in the range of courses that are available to you. So then what you need to do is be aware of the fact that a smart grad student takes any course and pulls it where they want to go by the research they do in that class. You're also allowed to take up to 2 independent studies. And the capstone itself is oftentimes done as an independent study. So if you were to do an independent study capstone and 2 independent studies following up on other courses you took, they could be remote. And if you found one good online course each term that sort of scratched an itch and let you play around a little bit in terms of what your individual research might be for that class, it's doable. I had a couple folks do it because they applied, got admitted, and then got their job relocated them, one to London and one to Spain. I don't remember where he was. So they did it online, but there were sometimes courses they would have loved to have taken that they couldn't because they weren't online. That may change as we move forward and we get more online offerings. So you could probably do some online and mix it in with maybe coming for 1 term or something like that, and we'll figure it out. But we try to be flexible and meet you halfway if possible. Eric asked about Pro Seminars. Okay, the MLA Pro Seminar is a special course designed by a standing faculty member for our program. They're intentionally interdisciplinary, and they're also meant to be accessible to students who don't have a previous depth of experience in that discipline. So if there's a pro seminar in anthropology, they're not assuming differently than a PhD level course, perhaps, that you've taken a lot of anthropology courses in your undergrad and you have a major or minor in it, so you know all the background sort of foundational research. They're expecting you to be able to jump in and be competitive and really enjoy the experience, even if it's sort of new to you at the disciplinary level. We usually put a cap on the pro seminar for up to 3 in our handbook, but that was dating back to when we used to have literally like, maybe 1 or 2 pro seminars a term. Now I have 4, sometimes 5. So usually there's not a capacity issue. So if you've already taken 3, we would say no to another pro seminar. But if a pro seminar that really fits your area of interest comes up, and that class has a class max of 18 and there's only 9 enrolled, we'd probably be able to offer you a waiver to add an extra additional MLA pro seminar, and that'd be fine. Grad Plus loans. I believe Grad Plus loans are available, but I am not sure of all the student financial aid kind of things. That would be something you would want to check with Penn Student Financial Services and go to their website. And I think there are links to that from the LPS pages for questions about financial aid. Do you guys have any other questions that we could answer for you? Okay, how does getting into a graduate course in another department work? Generally, any course that's built by a department for a PhD or a master's program is almost always built where it has a quota control where only students in that program are eligible to enroll, right? So I have a PhD in art history. Art history courses are for art history PhD students first, if they're graduate level. But a student could get a permit into those classes with the okay of the instructor. And once you get the okay from the instructor, you just need to then communicate with the departmental coordinator and they can enter that permit in the system so then you can grab the course and enroll yourself. So we do have people that get permits all the time. As I said, 50% of all course units taken in one 5-year period that we ran some data for were taken in the School of Arts and Sciences, which means people got a ton of permits because we're talking that was, 750 classes, course units taken over those 5 years. And many of almost all of them would have required permits. Now, you may not get a permit to every class you want to take because some of them are required for those programs. So sometimes, for example, there's an introduction to literary theory that both English and comparative literature PhD students need to take in their first year. They may not have enough space depending on how many new students they have. And sometimes some professors won't grant permits because they're going to be so deep in an area they want to make sure you have a track record and previous experience and prereqs for that. So they may not grant a permit unless you can tell them that you're really ready for the material. So that's variable, but generally it's you write an email, you tell a professor, hey, I really want to take your course and I need a permit and I'm in the Master Liberal Arts program and this is why I think I'm ready to take your class. And usually they write back and say, hey, sounds great to me, sure. And then you write back and say, can you give me the email address of your coordinator so I can get the permit put in the system? And then off you go. Another question, can you take classes in person during winter or summer school? We don't really have a winter session. We have a fall term that goes from September to December. Then we're off over for a winter break last week or 2 of December, first week or 2 of January. Then we come back for spring term and that runs through May. And then we have summer sessions. And summer sessions consists of usually a long 11-week course and 2 short 5.5-week courses. And we sometimes have MLA courses in all 3 of those summer sessions. So you can take courses in person in summer and in fall and spring, but we don't have a winter session as such. What's the acceptance rate and do we require GREs? We do not require GREs. Generally because a lot of our students are coming back after years away from being in the classroom. They're full-time working professionals. They're going to start and do this part-time and sort of kickstart their education and get back into it. So we don't send them out to take a test that we don't feel is diagnostic. If you've taken GREs and you did really great and you want to include them in self-report them, that's fine, but we don't require any exams. The only exam we would require is if you're not a native speaker and an international student, we would ask you to submit a TOEFL or another exam like IELTS. Our acceptance rate, We don't have, a hard and fast acceptance rate. Our yield is probably in the neighborhood of 50 to 60% of students who apply are admitted. Now, what we do is we work really hard in our website, in presentations like this, to tell people that we have an admissibility minimum GPA of 3.0 in all of your previous work, higher the better. We want to see in those transcripts strong experience in the liberal arts and success in liberal arts coursework, so we know you're ready for the intense reading and writing that goes on in the liberal arts coursework. And we also want to see a sense of how organized you are and how self-motivated you are. And that can be seen in both your resume, your references, and your essays. And so we try to effectively have people self-select out of even applying if their GPA is too low, if they don't have enough of a background in what they want to study. We'd rather have people not apply, not spend $75 on an admissions fee if this program's not right for them. So we don't have a hard and fast acceptance rate that's the same every year. Some years we admit a higher percentage of students, and other years we admit a lower percentage. You're really in competition with yourself and proving to us that you can do the work that we're going to ask you to do as a grad student. You folks have any more questions we can help answer? I'm going to put my email in the chat so that you can always follow up directly with me. You could say, "Hi, Chris. I attended your info session in October, and I have some questions." So you can email me directly. You don't have to go through the general LPS thing, because then that gets triaged around. I have to open different windows to get your email. Just email me directly. There's no question that's too big or too small that we can't bounce around ideas and see if this program really makes sense for you. It's a great opportunity. Graduate liberal studies programs like the Master of Liberal Arts have been around for 50 years. I think one of the oldest ones was founded at Georgetown. We're 26 or 27 years old. We have over 900 alumni that have done the program. Probably 90% of them have done it part-time and done it while working full-time. So it's totally doable in that regard. As I said, it's new, but there are some people doing our degree mostly online. Other programs in the United States are fully online. We are not. Some are also have a more narrow bandwidth. We have really that, as I said, that really tremendously wide arena for possible unique concentrations you create. We don't have sort of a narrow focus on social justice or writing or something like that. So it's a pretty cool program. Our students tell us they really enjoyed it. 98% of students who responded to a survey some years back said they wanted to be intellectually engaged and enriched, and they all hit that marker. But then of that 98%, 83% said it helped them professionally. They got promotions at work. They were more confident and applied and got new jobs. So it was both for fun, but there was real ROI on the back end. Could we talk about how MLA could work for someone interested in politics and government? Well, I imagine what you could do is take courses in political science, maybe take some courses in history, psychology, and behavioral sciences. You could maybe investigate some courses offered by the FELS program in public administration that may be relevant to the practice of government, and have a lot of fun sort of creating a concentration that's not a political science master, that's more like politics and society, and understanding Constitution, the history of democracy, by taking some history classes, maybe do a international relations or a global studies class or two. And I really think, stretch and learn a lot and figure out how that's going to give you the information you need. Okay. Well, I hope that answered a lot of questions you had, gave you some information that you needed to think about the Master of Liberal Arts and see if it could be a program that's right for you. As I said, we've had wonderful experiences with a lot of students from a tremendous range of backgrounds who have jumped in, sunk their teeth into grad level work, created their own program in concentration, and then gone off and done some really exciting things academically, intellectually, and professionally. So it's a really rich experience that we offer to a really broad spectrum of students. We have a really diverse student body in the program, but also on Penn's campus, which is a lot of fun to engage with. And as I said, we're slowly but surely getting up to speed with more opportunities to do this as a distance learning option, but we're not fully there where this is as rich a program if you have to do it fully online. So as I said, if there's no other questions, that's okay. You can always email me with follow-ups and we can figure out how to answer anything that you need to know to make sure that an application to and admission to the MLA is a good idea, and figure out if we can match up with you guys in some way so that you can pursue this opportunity. So if there are no last questions, we'll sign off, and happy to follow up, as I said, through email. Have a great day.